Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third day of our AI Product Hive conference that's called Hive Mind Summit. So for those who are not aware, we are a Slack community. I guess my presentation got stuck a bit. Yeah. So we are a Slack community called AI Product Hive. You can find us at aiproducthive.com. And we are running similar calls on a regular basis. So if you like this kind of format of 1 hour knowledge sharing session with industry experts and people who are practicing their AI things instead of just like sharing on social media and that's it, you can join our Slack and we will gladly either host upcoming calls with the topics that you'd like, or you can jump on any other topics that we would plan in the future. So yeah, if you are into this format, join our Slack. So please bear in mind that the call will be recorded, and please keep yourself muted on Zoom unless you want to say something. So this is our schedule for today. Anton and Matija will share their knowledge about Anthropic console and how you can write prompts for AI using AI, and structured workflow for vibe coding. Tomorrow we will have a live chat discussion where people would be able to share their stuff regarding AI and how they are using it in their day-to-day tasks. And on Friday, Matt and Sandy will share how you can use enterprise level AI orchestration with security and accuracy built in, and BAI, which is IBM's open source framework for building collaborative multi-agent AI systems. So today, our speakers are Anton and Matija. So Anton will start with Anthropic console and how you can write prompts for AI using AI. Please meet Anton. Something happened with that picture. Yeah, thank you. So he's a Chief Operating Officer at Merge Rocks, AI solution consultant, and brings engineers' mindset to every aspect of his life, especially when it comes to building and improving his home. We've discussed that before the call started for a couple minutes. So yeah, Anton, please take the stage and let's get started.
Thank you, Max, for the introduction. I did not know that you are following my Instagram. Actually, it was kind of a surprise for me. I thought that nobody does it. Like what we will be talking about. We will be talking about the silver bullet. It's kind of a joke, but partially. So I hope I will give you a tool that you might be able to use, or maybe you will get it as a starting point for doing something great. I hope so. I will show you a use case and one example of a use case, but I will provide you with some more further reading. I will share actually this Notion page with Maxim or in the chat. Actually, I think I can do it right now, if Max doesn't mind.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So you can actually follow, if you are bored, click the links and read something more interesting. So in this use case, we will be writing a. I have chosen the customer journey map as example. I hope that some of you may know what's the customer journey map is, but actually it's an example of how to make anything that has documented text instruction how to make it somewhere on the internet, may be presented with a text structure as an output. Right now, like, we will try to write a prompt for writing that artifact. So right now, like I will show you an example of customer journey map. Probably we don't. Let's get started. Like how we start building our customer journey map. We Google maybe for a customer journey map. What it is, like what is structure, like customer journey map structure. We make a Google query for that, and hopefully we find under the advertisements like some articles on how to build the customer journey map. Um, okay, we have found the blog with some instruction with one block, another one like which is a Nielsen Norman group. Hopefully it's a decent resource. I don't know if anybody knows it, but it's a UX experts, and they have a lot of nice things to read. And Nielsen Norman, like I always forget who one of them actually invented the term UX, user experience, while I believe it was Nielsen. I always confuse them. Okay, so what we will use this as a base. Second thing we will need, it's the actual Anthropic console. How we get there, like, and what is it? Probably you know Claude, which is an LLM. It's a direct competitor to the ChatGPT, and the company behind the Claude AI, it's Anthropic. So they provide an API for developers to use it. Um, and the debugging, when you purchase the get the subscription to their API, they provide with a developer console, which is located at console.anthropic.com. It's actually costs, using it actually costs money, but for the new user they provide $5 credit. So actually, if you are a new subscriber, you subscribe and you get $5 worth prompting for free. And for like not for production use, it's a pretty nice amount to have. It's a pretty nice amount to have. So the dashboard, the Anthropic console looks like this. You see, you have the button here, create and prompt. It opens you an interface for prompting, but they have another button. It's generate a prompt. So what it has a single text field where you describe in simple words what you want to prompt, what you want to prompt the prompt to do. And it actually generates an actual prompt, or better to say prompt template, as an output prompt template, because it has placeholders which I will show you in a second. Placeholders for variable data. Another thing we would need to have, like I will share everything, or everything I have already shared everything in the Notion doc. This is something called scraper. We can actually use the text of the article as it is, like just copy and paste it using your whatever mouse. But maybe it's not it's not absolutely convenient to do that. Like it's you spend like extra 2 seconds to do that. And if you want to save this 2 seconds. Or in case if you want to automate it, you would want to use a scraper called, my favorite is Gina.ai. There is a bunch of competitors like Firecrawl or something else, but I love Gina the most. Why? Because they have super simple interface. You can even use the API from your browser. How you do that? They have a product called Reader, and you actually have this API documentation here, and you can use a demo. Click demo to use it, and they have to use it from the browser. You just type in the r.gina.ai/your URL, and you get the parsed text of that web page. It actually removes all the excess, like if it is a blog, for example, it removes like sidebars. So it just extracts the content you would probably need from that URL. So in case of this article, we can use the Argina AI. Actually, we can do like this: prepend the this to the actual URL, hit enter, and in a while you get the full text. So we would need this text in our prompt. What we do next? It's we use this snippet which says, like, it's super simple. It says, like, using the below information, write a prompt for creating a customer journey map for a product feature. So imagine we are a product manager who wants to generate a customer journey map for a feature of a specific product. We would like to let the AI to define which information is required from the user to build the customer journey map as variables, such as product description, feature description, and add more if it makes sense. So we assume that we have the product description, we have a feature description, obviously, and just just for the sake of just to be safe, like we allow Claude or Anthropic Claude to add something more. So we paste this text, and below the customer journey map guide, we paste our text, parsed text. We can just select all, Command C, Command V. That's it. We hit generate, wait for a while. It does something. Yeah. Okay, continue. I already see that it added something which I don't want it to add, like business goals, target audience might be the case, product description, feature description is in place. So we now we can review the prompt. We might want to remove something that is called the extra thinking description. Present it always adds let's it created a quite a long one. Oh, it did not prepend, or yeah, it did not append the thing in description this time. Cool. I believe we can remove the business goals here, and for example, we want to insert our product description. Product description, I'm helping one startup called Capable, which is a routine work automation by AI for tech workers. We can use it as an example. So it's product description, Capable, feature description, and target audience. If you notice, it uses the so-called XML markup. You see something that is similar to like this, something that is similar to HTML source code. Right, and we probably it added the it added some formatting. Okay, we usually I don't like it. I prefer the text to be like nicely formatted with headers and subheaders and so on. So what we can do with this? There is a button, improve prompt. We can write these magic words like change the output from XML to Markdown. Hit OK. It does some. Actually, it is running a sequence of prompts inside, like it's a sequence of steps with something I will share in a minute. Something that is called meta prompting. This approach actually has a name. It's meta prompting. It's using the prompts to generate prompts. Okay, hit run all, and we have voila, we have nicely formatted customer journey map. So what we have? Oh, sorry, there is an error on, hopefully on the Anthropic side. So what you see is right now I actually did not read the output carefully. Hopefully it has sense what it generated. I tested it quite a few times previously. It works really well. What I can say, like it might need some human touch to it, but actually it's a quite workable solution, which you can use. Actually, the Anthropic console, you can use it as a tool, itself. So you can just copy and paste your descriptions of, for in this particular case, you can paste different feature descriptions, and it will generate different customer journey maps for each feature. You can go further. You can take this prompt and if you know some code, you can get this prompt and use inside your code, inside your product. actually you can so you can really automate it. Other use case, probably you want to use this prompt with you don't like the Anthropic for some reason, Anthropic LLM models. You want to use it, for example, with GPT-4. You can copy and paste it into your chat GPT text chat GPT web interface. Or if you concerned about security, you can even run it. You can even run it locally. So what I do is sometimes I want to run something locally, and for example, this is my local Gemma 3. It's a web interface for a local LLM model, which can be used also for prompting and for actually it can be used as your normal chat GPT or Claude, but with additional level of security. You can use actually GPT-4 using your API key here. The advantage of this approach is chat history is not stored at somewhere outside. You still are using the cloud model, but you don't allow anyone except your local computer to store your data, and you can use your local local models, which can be run it with Olama, and it is as simple as writing slash. I have already this prompt saved here, and you just copy and paste manually the your variables. It doesn't support dynamic. Unfortunately, doesn't support dynamic inserting dynamic data here. You would want to do it manually, and it will produce you the same results as the Anthropic console, or actually any LLM. So for example, this is example which I received from a GPT-4.1 model. Nicely formatted customer journey map as a table. Hopefully I believe we have 30 minutes limit. We are 24 minutes now. You can probably you can ask some question. I see some questions in the chat. Um, uh,
Yeah, that's right. Let me jump in, Anton. There's a couple questions, and I think they're all around how much can you use this for models that are outside of Anthropic. So you were mentioning before you use it for Gemma. Have you found it to be similar in terms of
uh,
the
Gamma is actually not does not really performs well with huge amounts of data. It's like a basic chat model. It's I'm right now I'm running a basic MacBook M1 from 2020, and it allows me to run Gamma normally, but some more capable like LLMs like Llama 3, 3.3. It actually requires like 400 gigabytes of storage to save the model.
so, but in the I guess what I'm saying is that with the prompts that you generate from the prompt manager here, have they been fairly usable across other models outside of Anthropic, or are those
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
they work well no matter what model you're using?
Absolutely. There is a lot of slight differences between the models, like for example, Anthropic Claude it more usually, from my experience, it works better with the XML markup inside the prompts. And GPT, OpenAI works better with the markdown inside the prompts.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
And there is a lot of stuff like some obvious things like if you have large prompts, you would want to use more capable models. If
Okay.
you so for smaller models, you would want to reduce the prompt. You would want to use it for smaller use cases, for simpler use cases. And there's a lot of stuff of it. But in general, it generates a lot of it generates a usable for any LLM prompts. One more thing I forgot to mention, it's I also shared some bonus links here, and one of them is actually Anthropic. They published their, I don't know how is it their complete so to say backend of this prompt generator, but there is actually an official Anthropic published meta prompt for generating the prompts. So you can so to say fine tune this meta prompt to generate a prompt with a specifically for your goals. And you would find this link in the link I've shared.
Okay, great.
And if you want more, you can read some guide, including the scientific papers on meta prompting from here.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Anton. So yeah, there is a bunch of questions in the chat. If you want, you can
Okay, how
write.
capable
Yeah.
was
Sorry,
other
sorry.
models it's met? I have answered this. What is the difference between this method and simply pasting the same step in ChatGPT and running other LLM? Maybe I missed something. Actually, it's
Sorry for interrupting, Anton. And I meant that you can do that in the chat, like actually with the text, because we are a bit short on time. So yeah.
yeah. I see. We have 2 minutes left. Probably it's time to say goodbye, if I believe.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anton. Exceptional talk about the really important stuff that probably everybody needs to know by now. So we'll set the stage for Matija. 1 second, I'll share the screen. And yeah, Anton, please.
Thank you. I will try to answer in the chat in text mode.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye.
So yeah, let's move to our next speaker, Matija. So he's a CEO and co-founder at Wasp, graduated from Y Combinator's winter 2021 batch, raised more than 5 million from top deep tech funds, and makes one of the best newsletters that I've seen in my life. So yeah, Matija, please take the stage.
Thank you, Max. I appreciate the kind words, especially around the newsletter. Yeah, can you hear me loud and clear? Are we all good here?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, thanks so much. And thank you, Anton, for the great talk. I think it was a really good combination of Anton's talk and my talk, because basically everything you taught us, Anton, we will use now, in vibe coding. And yes, just for the Fekoni, one of our community members who came all the way from our Discord here, I think you can see our mascot right here on the shelf. And I also have one mega boy, so-called mascot. We'll see in a minute what is it all about. But yeah, just for you, Pekoni, he's here and he's watching us all. Okay, yeah, let me share my screen and let's get into it. Okay, let me just figure out the setup. Share. So I will share the whole desktop. Wait, I just have to allow Zoom This is a new Mac and I haven't used Zoom that much. Okay, I have to quit and reopen Zoom. So sorry about this. Coming in 10 seconds.
Classic stuff when
yeah, it's like the Microsoft Windows 95. We'd love to let you do it, but we need you to reboot first.
A good thing is that we are not on Microsoft Teams, because in that case, after Matija would try to log in, he will be prompted to use a 3-factor authorization and send an email to his manager.
Okay,
and the manager would
be back. Let's see if this works now. Okay, now it's going to work. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, I'm sorry for this. You know, video call always find new ways to embarrass you in front of everybody. Okay, let me make a big list of all of you so I can all see you. Okay, awesome. And you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just open the presentation then. Okay, let's go full screen. Okay, slideshow, cool. Yes, so the title of my presentation is a structured approach to vibe coding full stack web apps. And I also added this part for dummies. That's not because you are a dummy, it's because I am a dummy. You know, because I'm kind of new. I will share a bit more about myself, but you know, I'm going to be talking here, let's say, from the beginner's perspective, in the sense of somebody who has been coding before, but is still kind of new to this whole, you know, vibe coding world. So before we start, can you maybe also share, you know, in chat, kind of what's your experience with vibe coding? Have you all tried Cursor ever, or some of you did, some of you didn't? I would love to kind of see in the chat what's your experience. Okay, wait. I just have to open the chat somehow. Or can you give me the number kind of results, Max? What are people saying in the chat?
I guess 90% tried Claude or vibe coded in general. So
yeah, there's a lot of people using Cursor and Windsurf is some, even just copying back and forth from ChatGPT. So yeah, there's a lot of usage.
Okay, nice. So people have been exposed. I can also maybe kind of have some parts faster. But yeah, let's go. Cool. A bit about myself. You know what Max already shared. I'm a developer myself, and kind of, you know, I put a dinosaur here because I'm old. It's going to be probably soon like pre-AI developer, so new to all of this. But I have been developing, you know, for like 20-something years now, and I would say about 15 years professionally, since people have been paying me. And yeah, using stuff, you know, from the old days like PHP on the back end, and then, you know, the first version of Angular on the front end, all the way from Java, and then, you know, to the newer stuff like React, which is also now, you know, quite mature, Node.js. So, you know, I have been through different versions of different technologies, even from the mobile side and the C++ and you know, Swift. So I have been seeing stuff. Okay, and I can see the chat now. Okay, people using Claude, Windsurf, great. And yeah, the most recent thing that I have been working on together with my co-founder and my twin brother is Wasp. Wasp is a full stack web framework, which I'm going to also present a bit. And, you know, we have been at this for the last 5 years. So it's been very interesting, especially with the rise of the AI, you know, how it fits in here. What do we expect from the web framework in the AI era? So I will also touch that a bit. But yeah, you know, we joined YC21 and basically raised a couple of financing rounds, and, you know, have been going with it since. Yeah, then, you know, a bit about Wasp itself. So also, whatever I teach you here, you know, it's not going to be related to Wasp itself. Wasp is just kind of one of the things you are going to be using, but whatever I teach you, you can equally use it for any framework of choice. So this is just to give you some extra context on what I am doing. So what is Wasp? You know, kind of what is circled here. It is a Rails-like framework for React, Node.js, and Prisma. So basically, you can imagine it as a big kind of pond of glue, which is connecting your React code, Node.js code, and Prisma code, giving you a lot of kind of, you know, best practices and common features out of the box. So kind of, you know, to summarize, okay, also the journey. So as I said, like, you know, we started in 21, which was the very early, even before 21, you know, it was kind of pre-full time. Just me and my brother, kind of, we started developing the whole system. Then we joined YC and we started getting some first traction. And then kind of, you know, once we moved to beta version, it took us quite a while to, you know, figure out what is the good experience for the web, you know, web framework, why will developers use it, for which use cases. But once we kind of understood that better, we started seeing, you know, much bigger growth on the usage, especially, you know, in 23, kind of, you know, when GPT started becoming the big thing. We also played around with building, let's say, our own primitive version of Lovable at one point and some other things, and that kind of, you know, exploded the whole adoption of the framework. So yeah, it's been very exciting. Now we are at 17K stars. So this kind of chart is a bit older, but you know, we are growing fast, and we are having different users from, you know, startups and indie hackers, even to Fortune 500 companies, whose names, you know, I can't say on record, but some of them are actually using WASP in their internal systems, which is quite cool. And yeah, we are currently in beta, and now we are, you know, moving fast towards 1.0 version. People can build stuff. You know, people have been building, as I mentioned, like, you know, from their own SASs, internal tools, byte-coded CSS. So basically all kinds of, you know, typical full stack web apps, something with database and the front end and the back end. You know, you can use WASP to build that. You know, the key point is that you get to use React and Node.js, which is kind of, you know, the mainstream technology right now. So it is extremely low bar to the adoption of the framework itself. Cool. And, you know, also kind of, why would somebody use something like WASP? You know, the main reason is this kind of consolidation of features, which I mentioned. So you will get everything from, you know, full stack on both sides, front end and back end, or the authentication, you know, even cron jobs, admin dashboard if you use our template starter. So basically everything packaged together. That is the main value. And also, you know, the big question relevant for this is basically should I use WASP with AI or not? So, you know, in the end, you will decide that. But kind of what we have been seeing is actually the pattern that developers are coming more and more, you know, to use WASP because they have an easier way of using WASP with AI, or basically they have easier way of building applications if they are using WASP compared to some other framework. So typically, you know, they will use Cursor plus WASP, or start with Lovable and then go to Cursor and WASP and similar. So it's been a big driver in our adoption, basically, and the AI-driven development. And you know why? Basically, why do they have easier time using WASP over Next.js or some other framework? So, you know, it's a long answer, but the kind of very short reasoning for it is kind of this. So, you know, let's say if you want to get, you know, full stack authentication for your application, and, you know, you want to have like different methods like username and password, Google, GitHub. So all you have to write in WASP framework is these 5-6 lines of code, and you will get it working full stack from front end to back end in your React code, Node.js code, everything. We are going to sort it out for you. And if you're not using WASP, if you're, you know, let's say writing something kind of Node.js and React or something else, basically, you know, this is a bunch of code that you have to write and maintain. And this is just the backend portion of the code. So, you know, in the end, it's much easier both for AI or LLMs and humans to produce and maintain less code. So this is kind of, you know, we are raising the abstractions in the web development, and this is why, you know, everybody is having an easier time. So that's kind of, you know, the core proposition of what we are building. And now, of course, there are, you know, trade-offs that we are making, and, you know, it's not easy to decide what should be abstracted, what shouldn't be abstracted. But this is kind of the you know, the problem space that we live in for the last 5 years. Cool. And yeah, this is kind of, you know, what I said basically, and what Kevin says, you know, why use many code if you can just use few code? Okay. Yeah. So that's the whole proposition of WASP. But yeah, now I will not talk much more about WASP. You know, whatever I teach you, I'm going to teach you to fish, and basically you can use it with any kind of stack. So what we are going to cover is basically a bit of introduction, plus, you know, just seeing the landscape of vibe coding in itself. We'll talk about, you know, how do you pick your AI stack, what I picked, also a bit of a setup, or kind of how we make sure that AI is successful, and then a bit more, we will spend time on the flow, which I'm sure people are familiar with, this kind of PRD, product requirement document flow, and then also a bit more about context management, which I found pretty interesting. My personal, then, you know, kind of, you know, just impressions from what was easy, what was hard for me when I tried it out, and basically what are the next steps, because there's, you know, much more to cover that I'm going to talk to you about today. Okay, So a bit of the intro, you all know what is vibe coding, but this is one of my favorite videos which explains, vibe coding. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. But yeah, what is even vibe coding? I started, with getting obviously definition from the AI itself, so it's very appropriate. So what it says, vibe coding is, software development approach where developers use natural language to guide AI tools in generating, refining, and debugging code. So basically, kind of skipping the coding part in a way and just going from natural language to the working product in theory, right? And I think also this kind of, it's fast, improvisational, collaborative approach where you collaborate with, your AI friend to develop stuff. Great. And then also, there is a whole landscape of different levels at which you can do, AI assisted coding or vibe coding. So, starting from the code side on the left, we can use different, editors in your IDE or in your CLI, and basically kind of here, you're just writing a ton of code with AI. Then on the right side, it's kind of more higher level product, like Lovable, Bolt, which you can use to generate, UIs, even working applications. And finally, there is a version also of the product, which is kind of you get completely separated from the code, and you're just writing kind of some sort of, prompts and getting the final result. Of course, as we move to the right side, it's kind of more restricted what we can do and how we can host it, how we can modify it, but it's easier for us, and we have to care less about and understand less about the underlying code. So for this presentation, we are going to be somewhere here in the middle. So, as you have seen, people often combine stuff like, Bolt and Lovable or Replit, and then, continue later in Cursor. So there is definitely, you can pick your place on this scale. So we are going to be somewhere between understanding all the code and, and basically having somebody to help us out with that stuff. Nice. Okay. So starting out, what are we going to build, as every AI assistant asks you? So, for this presentation, I actually spent the last couple of days vibe coding the app. It was, the first app I ever vibe coded. And what it does, I can also share you to it live. It generates kind of these cute tickets for launch weeks. Okay, so you should see it now. So if you come here, so basically, at WASP, we have this concept of launch weeks like Supabase or other, open source companies you might have seen. If every quarter kind of we launch what we did for the last quarter. And then, there is this thing that kind of you can come and generate a ticket for your launch week. Typically there is, Discord event where people join like here, and, we all live present what's happening and, have fun together. So, I made kind of this application to generate a ticket for for our launch week. So you have to log in with your GitHub, as you have seen, and once you're logged in, I will take your GitHub username and generate a nice ticket, and you will also get our mascot, the boy, which I showed you in the beginning, kind of doing some fun activity on your ticket. So it's quite simple, but kind of it has all the aspects of the application. It has front end, something happening on the back end, authentication, storing stuff to the database, and I also have the part which I'm generating all these images. So we have something which works. So let's go back to our presentation. So this is the example that we are going to be using. Okay, then the next step is kind of the AI stack. This is kind of the main question these days in vibe coding circles. So what's your AI stack? It's not anymore web development stack. Now it's AI stack. And when you want to decide what you're using, basically you have to answer all of these questions. So first one is, which editor should I be using? Is it going to be my VS Code and an extension, or is it going to be a fork of VS Code like a Cursor, or is it just going to be a Claude code which I will use from the CLI? And then you have to pick your models. Do I use Gemini, or do I use Sonnet for something? And also, what do I use for coding, and what do I use for planning and kind of refining stuff? So all of these are decisions you have to make. The same, like there is a ton of MCPs you could use, which we are going to see later. And then once we are done with these 3 questions, it's more about traditional stack and infrastructure. So which framework should I be using? Should it be Next.js or Svelte, or which database, which ORM? Should I use this library for authentication or the other library? Should I use a starter template or not? Should I just code everything from scratch? And finally, where should I host all the parts of my app? So when I started kind of this is how I was feeling, like this guy Spider-Man on the right. But yeah, this is just, the reality. So much stuff is happening, so many stuff is happening, and kind of we have to somehow decide. So for this, first attempt at vibe coding, I decided to go extremely vanilla. So what I did is, I picked Cursor as my editor, which is kind of, everything integrated with the AI. Okay, the most exotic thing was actually using Wasp as a framework, but in the end, it is just React, Node.js, and Prisma. So it's still very, very familiar, both for, for people and for the AI. I was using Open Starter, which I will also, show you in a second, which kind of gave me a lot of code in advance that I can use. And, we will discuss, should you do that or not? And finally, I deployed everything on Fly, hosting platform. Again, the reason was because it was the most mainstream way for me, because, Wasp as a framework has a kind of native CLI integration with Fly. So you can just, type in terminal Wasp deploy Fly, and, your application is going to go live there. So very simple. So yeah, one thing I wanted to specifically kind of, talk about is basically, should you start with, kind of code which is already written for you or not? As you have probably seen, like there is a ton of these kind of, starters for your SaaS code, which typically, if you go here, I can actually just open it here. So this one is the one that we specifically made for Wasp, and this is basically Wasp plus a bunch of starter code on top. So, what you get is like, you get integration with Stripe or Lemon Squeezy. I can actually show you the code. But yeah, this is okay. Immediately email sending with SendGrid or some other providers, immediate integration with OpenAI API, you get a blog, you get file upload implementing. So basically all of these components, which you would typically, reinvent, you can just, you just get them kind of from scratch, right? So, my advice is, if you are building something more substantial, use something which somebody else has kind of written and vetted, instead of, spending a ton of tokens on reinventing the common features. So, because that way you can be sure that, it's either open source, and, there is kind of some reliance that, other people have tested it. You can also check it out yourself, or, you bought it and you trust, the Twitter influencer who sold it to you. So, but yeah, I would say in the end, in my experience, it's much better to have something, with a nice structure and reusable elements, and then basically you focus on the core parts of your application. On the other hand, if you're just building something, like something simple, maybe like this application, it's also okay to start with scratch. So, the thing with Wasp and OpenStash is that you get a ton of stuff from scratch, and then basically you can move faster. Yeah, this is all the stuff you get. Okay, now this is also the interesting part, the setup. Basically, especially if you're starting, with some starter like OpenSaaS or, a code in advance, is basically how do you make sure that, that Cursor knows all the stuff it needs to know, or your AI. So there are two main things which I found to be helpful. I'll actually start to, open my Cursor now. So this is going to be a bit of interactive presentation. I will just, zoom in a bit, and you'll let me know if it's too small. Is this big enough for you? Should I go bigger?
Kind of okay, but heads up, with 10 minutes left, so yeah.
Okay, you'll be fast. I'll go faster to some stuff, yeah. Okay, cool. So, what happens here is basically we want to check out our Cursor rules. And, as also, if you start with OpenSaaS, you will get all of these rules in advance. And this is basically describing, let's kill this. So this is basically describing to LLMs, how to use a framework that it's using. So, this is like, highlight, basically like an overview of the whole documentation. So, what is Wasp? You can find documentation here. You have to use Prisma. You have to use this. This is like how you act with the database, how you, like what are the project conventions from, all the files you get from the starter. So basically, the more you can provide in the beginning, the easier it's going to be to, for the LLM to follow your instructions, and basically, give you the most kind of actionable advice. So one thing is Cursor rules, and another cool thing which I wanted to show is, kind of just the, loading the whole docs for something. So if you go to settings, which, I guess many of you already know, if you go to Cursor settings and you go to docs, oops, sorry, it's right here. Let's go there. Oh, here's my cursor. Sorry, Cursor settings, and then you go to Cursor settings, and then you go to indexing and docs here. Basically, you can see, which docs you want to add. So for example, I was using Wasp, so I can just go here type in wasp.sh/docs, and it would index all the docs. And then you can actually reference, so, let's say now you're coding, you can actually reference, hey, in the docs, wasp, check out deployment in the docs. And then basically it's going to use that instead of, kind of outdated or, just the wrong information it gave you. Okay, going back. So that proved to be very important. And, typically when you don't do it, then it's much harder. When you do it, you do it, then kind of we are seeing much better results from our users. Okay, then the flow. The flow, as everything can be more or less complicated. So this is one of the kind of more complicated flows, I have seen in the vibe coding community. And, basically a lot of stuff is happening here. Like, first you refine the ChatGPT, then you create one version of the PRD, then the second version, then you refine it with another model. So basically, if you want, you can go crazy, with your whole workflow. And, as your application grows, it is probably going to become more complex as you are adding testing and similar. But, what I used here is, like very simple kind of dimwit approach. Basically, and I will show you, we start with the initial prompt, we create a PRD, which is product requirement document, and then which is kind of, not specific, it doesn't have any implementation details. And finally, from that, we create implementation plan, which is kind of, create this row in database, create, this backend action and similar. So I can show you that a bit. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to cursor. So what was happening here? Again, like I created, like one AI folder in my whole project. And this is just for kind of, this prompt stuff. So what's happening here, what I started with is, so this is just, the first prompt which I started with, like this, couple of lines. I want to create a WASP launch week ticket app, which has authentication, user has to log in. When not logged in, there must be a nice landing page. You can click generate my ticket and, use modified vertical slice implementation, which is kind of, go feature by feature. And that's it. This is everything I started with. Then I did like, just one round of refinement, with GPT, which is similar to what Anton showed previously. And then, you see, I got a bit more kind of user flows, kind of, it's a bit more structured and kind of, in a nicely defined way, just written here. And then basically this I use to create a PRD. So this is the prompt I use next. With this in mind, I wanted to evaluate, the project template and take this kind of PRD approach and, give me the best approach on how I should build stuff. And from that, we got the PRD. So now you can see basically the PRD is a bit bigger document than, just one paragraph we had from before, which kind of has, the whole formal definition. We have overview of goals, we have user flows, we have features on the, landing page, ticket page, we have technical approach, what we are going to be using, we have success criteria, and also out of scope stuff. And then finally, once you're done with that, we are going to, okay, now we have, of course, you always refine that PRD together with AI, kind of, we want this, more of this, less of this. Basically, that's your time to collaborate. And in the end, we say, okay, now from this PRD, create an actionable step-by-step plan, which, we are going to use as a guide for our LLM coding. And again, kind of think about different approaches, make sure you ask me for questions if you need to. And kind of, in the end, this plan is going to be kind of something we are going to be referring to. And, it has these kind of checkboxes. So this is like, your Jira or Asana tickets that we are going to be solving. First, like, let's update main WASP file, add GitHub auth. Then let's build a landing page. Let's add route, let's style a page. And then this is like the complex part. Let's create a, protected page. Let's implement a WASP action on the backend, which is going to take stuff from the authentication. So basically all of this is kind of in the end serving as our anchor. So this is like, our specification file in the end, which we are constantly going through with our AI agent. Awesome. Let me go back. Okay, I have a couple more minutes, so I will speed it up. Okay, the interesting part is about the context. So, what about the context? So the thing is like, the context bigger, the context windows are getting, bigger. So kind of we tend to, throw as much as possible in it. So it's very simple in my way. There's like one really cool article, which I'm going to share with you. So you have it for the reference. Oops, right here or not. Okay, I'll share it later. But basically, the gist of it is kind of close your chat when you're done. So a typical rule of thumb is like, when you are done with a specific feature, like you saw it, like, row with the checkbox in your plan, kind of, close your chat, lose the context because, you don't want to kind of just keep piling that context on, which will make your AI kind of start to repeat stuff they did before or kind of hallucinate a bit. So I haven't had, like great challenges because my application was quite small. But from what I have heard, it's pretty important, especially as everything grows, to kind of keep your context in check. Okay, and let's kind of finalize it so we can open up for questions. Oops. Here. The easy fun part. Let me see what I wrote. Yeah, so what was the easy part here? So basically, the easy part is like I became a designer, and I'm no designer at all. So if you check if you check out the application, it's like wow, it actually looks like something. For me, being a backend engineer, this was kind of hard to imagine. But I was actually stealing stuff from Supabase. So for example, right here, like Supabase first came up with this concept, and they had this nice, where is it? Launch week here. Here. So here, basically, right? I just took this. So this is one of my favorite parts was this. Just take a screenshot, and then go to your cursor. And what I did here is like, okay, cursor, like we want to make our chat. We want to make our card nicer. Just give it here. Okay, so I want. Let's move this. Okay, so it's like I want to make my ticket in ticket page have better design. Like the example. Examine why is their design better and so. So this is one of the kind of most important parts actually, which I learned, is to kind of break it down. So you don't just give it the image and say, make it like this or make it better like this. What worked much, because it will just kind of give you some mumbo jumbo, and it won't fit what you had in your mind, because you didn't even know what you have in your mind. So what is much better is kind of to say it like this. Look, this is what I want. Now you analyze it, break it down, and give me reasons why this is better than what I had. And then it said like, oh, look, it has this, like cool background, and it's actually here. You can go to the bottom. Okay, now it's giving. But you'll say like, it has this cool futuristic theme. It has modern typography. It has ticket number like this. It has like this. And, in the end, it will give you like the whole table of, what it has on the left side and, what you could do on the right side. And then basically that's your, PRD in a way. You can use that to go step by step and implement that for your example. So this was my kind of, most fun part, which I enjoyed. On the other hand, what was hard, if you go to the hard parts, was technical depth, which is also, for example, if you go to my ticket page, which is kind of just the page, for this ticket, you can see, it's getting quite huge. Now it's a bit huge like this, but if you go like this, I have a ton of divs, a ton of classes, just for a single, basically div on my page, right? And what started very simple quickly exploded in the whole kind of exponential explosion of classes. And at some point I didn't even know how to just resize the width of my ticket, because I wasn't sure which class I have to adapt. So I would say technical depth is kind of a thing, and it pays to understand what's actually happened. Okay, just to wrap it up, easy parts, hard parts. Yeah, so this is the hard part. Like can you add me a button and you get like 70K lines of code. Okay, and where next? So I would say this is like pretty vanilla, easy setup. I would say probably the biggest benefit, kind of, let's say the lowest hanging fruit for, doing something more complex is basically to start using MCPs. So you'll probably know basically MCP is like, some outside service that, GPT can use for, or AI can use for different stuff. So for example, for adding more context, like this thing, context 7 is like also scraping all the documentation, and basically whatever you use, it will have the right docs for it. And then there is stuff like, this Taskmaster, which is popular with Claude, kind of, giving you a nice way to organize stuff that you are working on, kind of similar to what we have shown. But then again, Claude is now introducing, Cursor is now in new beta introducing their own version of it, so maybe you don't need it. So yeah, everything is moving super fast, so it's really kind of hard to track everything. But yeah, I would say I'm mostly interested in trying out MCPs and also background agents, which is also what Cursor recently introduced. So basically you just say, hey, implement this whole thing, and I'll be back in 10 minutes, and let's see what happens. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening to me. If you want, follow me on Twitter. If you want, if you want to check out WASP and give us a star, scan this QR code. It will take you there. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you very much for your talk. I'm sure it's been extremely useful to our participants. And if Zoom would allow me to see the comments. Yeah, okay. So we've got a couple of questions. So how mature are AI-assisted vibe coding capabilities beyond Node.js world, like Ruby on Rails, Dart, Flutter, Rust, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, quick answer. What I actually heard, people are having great experience with using Rails, especially because, kind of, as you said, like, WASP is kind of incarnation of Rails, which means everything is kind of high level and, very declarative. And, there is just one way to do something in Rails. So for that reason, I have actually heard that Rails developers have, very nice experience using AI assisted stuff. I think also you have to maybe provide enough context, but there is a huge also code base, amount of code to learn from. For Dart, Flutter, and Rust, I'm not sure. I haven't tried it much. Cool.
Okay. Yeah, you can go through the questions.
Yeah, I can just go. Yeah.
yourself.
So Nick says, are there any differences between Taskmaster, memory bases? So honestly, I don't know. I haven't yet tried out Taskmaster. I just heard that was one of the most popular, and I heard it being mentioned. So yeah, sorry, but I don't actually know. It seems like you know more than me. So you're not a dummy as I am. Okay, and then we have Tekoni. Do you feel like vibe coding did help or wasted your time in your project? Yeah, in a way, in some ways, it was wasteful, especially when it was doing stuff I already know. But for this project, it was mostly UI and design, and I kind of suck at that part. So that was fun. It was fun, but on the other hand, I also felt like I'm doing stuff without actually understanding what I'm doing. So it became harder and harder to do more stuff on it because it was just kind of piling up. My lack of knowledge was just piling up, and I kind of became dependent. Whatever AI told me, that's the only way for me to do it. So yeah, I would say kind of in between. Yeah. How much did it cost in cursor credit to generate the site? Honestly, I don't know. I should check it out. I'm still on their free trial, so I haven't even checked it out. But I don't know. I mean, and they have also been changing the pricing. So I think it was $20 per month, whatever you do. So yeah, I have no idea. If I can check it out, I will do it.
Okay, so I'll share my screen real quick. So yeah, Matija, Anton, thank you very much for your talks and knowledge sharing. So if you have any other questions, please drop them on our Slack and we will pass them to our speakers today, and we'll try to get the answers. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for your talks. Thank you very much, our dear participants and people on the call who asked questions and were listening to our today's call. So if you want to have more of those calls in the future, please drop us a request at aiproducthive.com. So there is a Slack community, you can join us. And join us tomorrow for the next event where we will discuss the approaches that people are taking during their day-to-day activities using AI. So we'll have kind of live chat, semi-official, I'd say, to discuss different stuff, AI and non-AI related to our working activities. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you, Max, for hosting, everybody for watching, and yeah.
Yeah, bye-bye.